Hello everyone, let's get ready to learn. Meet Mike. He's a smart kid with high expectations from his whole family, but he is the only one in his family to go to Harvard. But literally everyone in his family is a successful lawyer. He has schizophrenia. This makes it difficult for him to interact with real people because he constantly hears voices arguing and saying awful things about him. This in turn makes him depressed, naturally. And when he asked about his personal hygiene, he responds with, "What's the point?" All of his labs and tests are within normal ranges, and he's currently on olanzapine, but he gained 20 pounds. He also denies thoughts of suicide, but expresses wishing he was dead so much that he actually prays for it. So let's talk pathology. For convenience, his symptoms are on the left. Negative symptoms of schizophrenia are often the same ones expressed in depression. However, they are associated with the greater white matter damage and unfortunately have poorer outcomes. The dopamine theory suggests that negative symptoms and cognitive impairments are due to a low amount of dopamine in the mesocortical pathway to the prefrontal cortex. This leads to the lack of self-care, altered social interactions, and avolition. In case you forgot, because we definitely learned a lot this semester, the mesocortical pathway regulates cognition and executive function and emotions and affect. Because the whole brain is in one big capsule, the lack of dopamine carries over into the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex. There is a reciprocal relationship, or opposites, between the mesocortical and the mesolimbic dopaminergic activity. For example, hypodopaminergic functions in the prefrontal cortex leads to the disinhibition or the acceleration of the dopaminergic system, therefore causing an increase of dopamine activity in the mesolimbic pathway. This leads to the positive symptoms we see in schizophrenia, like the auditory signals. Fun fact, serotonin imbalances tends to result in visual hallucinations, whereas dopamine in auditory hallucinations. This is critical when considering treatment. So the first medication that we considered was aripiprazole. Mechanisms of action on the neural pathway is that it's a partial agonist at D2 receptors and that it acts as an antipsychotic by lowering dopaminergic neurotransmission in the mesolimbic pathway and enhancing dopaminergic activity in the mesocortical pathway. The D2 partial agonism accounts for efficacy in both positive and negative symptoms of schizophrenia. The good things about aripiprazole is that it has little to no risk of weight gain or sedation and may help with depressed moods as well. Furthermore, the patient can be switched to a long-acting injectable formulation of the medication once oral dose is tolerated. The second medication is lurazidone, which may exert antidepressant effects as it increases dopamine activity in the prefrontal cortex through activity on the 5-HT2A and the 5-HT1A receptors. The negative symptoms are treated by blocking the D2 receptors, whereas the positive via blocking 5-HT7 receptors. The bad thing is that there's no long-acting injectable available, according to Stahl, and this medication is also more sedating than aripiprazole, and also has a higher chance of causing extrapyramidal symptoms. So in conclusion, the patient's diagnosis is schizophrenia and depression, which is most likely caused by the schizophrenia. The preferred medication is aripiprazole as it is less sedating and has a long-acting injectable version available. Other recommendations would be cognitive behavioral therapy with family involvement for support, a healthy sleep routine, regular physical activity, and a healthy diet. A consideration to take time off school would be good as stress makes symptoms worse.